pathetic school bus forces itself to stop at the front of your driveway. You grab your backpack, or book bag, or whatever you call it, and head to the bus. Upon entering, the driver hisses at you. Ha! That wasn't the only weird thing. Looking at the aisles of the bus. There were only 2 of them. But tell me why. Every single kid was sitting on the left side on the bus, leaving 1 kid on the right side all by himself. Dib. His name was Dib. Dib noticed he was sitting alone on one side, so he stood up and went to sit by another student on the left side. Once he sat down, every kid got up and went to the right side, leaving Dib by himself. What an outcast, huh? Yes, Dib was weird with his obsessions, but he didn't deserve to be treated like that. Dib sighed and played with the hems of his mysterious black jacket. If Sim was there, he'd be laughing hysterically. At least GIR was cute.
Dipper looks concerned, surprised. He slowly approached Dib. Hey, is this seat taken?
Dib looked up at the kid who was now standing in front of him. It was Dipper? Dib? Oh. No, the seat isn't taken. Why, you can sit here if you like.
Dipper chuckled. Thanks. He sits down next to Dib, comfortably concerned.
Dib chuckled awkwardly. No one ever sat next to him willingly before, so this was weird to him. Dib, you're welcome.
Dipper, so you're probably guessing who I am, right?
Dib looked at him for a moment and raised an eyebrow. He was right, of course, but he decided to play dumb, just to make a little conversation. Dib, should I know you or something?
Dipper chuckled, interest. Well, I'm Dipper Pines. I used to live at Gravity Falls, well, where mysterious and stuff are shenanigans and crazy terrifying. I probably moved here for a reason to catch a break.
Dib's eyes widen in shock, but also relief that he'll actually have someone to talk to about crazy and strange things. He couldn't help but smile. At least someone else believes in this stuff besides him. Dib, wait a minute. Did you say Gravity Falls?
Dipper nodded, nodding curiously.
Dib's smile grew bigger. Dib, Gravity Falls. As in, weird and mysterious Gravity Falls. The place where all the weird creatures and supernatural beings are real and exist.
Dipper, yeah, me and Mabel experience all those crazy stuff until I move here for a break from all that.
Dib, whoa! You have to tell me everything you've experienced there! You don't understand, no one ever listens to the crazy theories and stuff about the existence of paranormal creatures and aliens. They say I'm insane and crazy.
Dipper, I know, I've heard all that, and that's just messed up. That's what I was worried about since my first experience at Gravity Falls with my sister Mabel, until we both end up discovering terrifying things and mysteries and stuff.
Dib nods. He felt someone actually understand what it's like. Dib, it sucks. I get that people are skeptical, it's a normal reaction. But not even my own dad listens to me. He says it's all scientifically disproved and childish nonsense. But one day I'll prove to him I'm right.
Dipper, I wish you good luck with that. And in a serious, good, supportive way possible.
Dib, thanks. One day my own father will finally be proud of me for something. Or at least acknowledge me. Dib looked at Dipper. He had that look as if he wanted to ask a question. And he did, Dib. Hey, can I ask you something?
Dipper nodded, slightly intrigued.
Dib looked a little nervous. But he asked his question anyway, Dib. So, since you've been to Gravity Falls, have you ever seen any aliens?
Dipper, well, Pacific creatures like Bill Cipher, yeah, I don't know what kind of thing he is, but he's pretty powerful and messed up.
Dib's eyes widen once again. Dib, you've seen an alien. You were face to face with a living, breathing alien, and you just say, he's pretty powerful, but I don't know what he is. Like it's just a normal conversation topic.
Dipper, Bill Cipher is just a yellow glowing triangle that makes everything around us go chaotic and madness. That's all. I can describe in a proper way to say it.
Dib was in shock, Dib. I'm jealous of you. No one ever believes me, and you get to see an alien and describe one to me with your very own personal experiences. This doesn't feel fair.
Dipper, I'm sorry, but me and Mabel managed to finish him once and once and for all, as I thought we did. Hopefully, but in the meantime, I'm just taking a break from all that.
Dib, wait a second. You and your sister destroyed and stopped an alien that threatens the universe, and you're just taking a break from it all?
Dipper, I just thought it would be done and over with, so the madness would just stop, and we can move on. I'm trying to not think about it. I just don't want to bring up terrible memories.
Dib looked concerned. Dipper was trying not to think about a memory. Dib, terrible memories.
Dipper, oh, the drama and a horse that I and my sister experienced there, Bill Cipher, was just selfish and messed up, messing with our minds and everything. Trying to calm down, trying to move on from it, but failing.
Again, Dib looked pretty concerned. He had a pretty good idea of why Dipper is trying. Forget about these memories he speaks about, Dib. Wait. Are you trying to forget these memories? Because they hurt you?
Dipper nodded nervously, panicked. It just brings nightmares. I don't want it to be real all over again. Like it's coming back to me, but in a different location.
Dib's heart dropped seeing Dipper so panicked and nervous. He was genuinely concerned. Dib, whoa. Calm down, Dipper. Just take a deep breath and tell me what happened.
Dipper calms down with a bit and a sighs. He sighs, sighing. He starts explaining everything, that the events and all that back in Gravity Falls to Dib in concerned. After 6 minutes of explaining, and that's when I thought everything was over with and done once and for all, and moved on.
As Dipper kept explaining, Dib's eyes widened. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Not just the part where Dipper encountered an alien that could cause all of time and existence to end, but the part where Dipper and his sister were tortured by said alien. When Dipper finally finished explaining, goodness, that sounds like a living nightmare.
Dipper, I know. Can I please stop talking about it? I don't want it to be brought back again.
Dib felt bad for how panicked and terrified Dipper sounded about these nightmares he was talking about. Dib nodded and put a hand on Dipper's shoulder. Dib, no, of course. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. I'm sorry.
Dipper hugs Dib for a moment firmly before letting go after 5 seconds. It's fine. It's not your fault. You're just curious, that's all.
Dib was shocked when Dipper hugged him. As far as he knows, no one ever wants to be near him, much less hug him. When Dipper pulled back, Dib suddenly found himself blushing, a very, very light blush across his cheeks.
Dipper. Huh?
Dib quickly shook his head frantically, his head suddenly filled with thoughts. Wait, was he blushing? That can't be right, can it? It's just because he hasn't been hugged in ages. Yeah, that's probably it. Dib, don't mind me. I am fine.
Dipper chuckling, slightly feeling interested.
God, that chuckling. Why was it making him feel so flustered, he thought. Dib's cheeks were still slightly dusted with pink. Dib, what's got you chuckling?
Dipper, this is a fun bond. It's getting interesting.
Dib raised an eyebrow and smiled at him. Dib, interesting? What do you mean by that exactly?
Dipper, a new connection like friends.
Dib's smile widened. Friends? With someone who didn't call him crazy just for believing aliens and supernatural creatures were real? That's new. Dib, you really think of me as a friend?
Dipper nodded, interested.
Dib was surprised. He's finally made a friend who believed in the same weird and supernatural stuff he believes in as well. He's been a lonely outcast for years. That's all he knew for so long, and he couldn't lie that it hurt. Dib, wow. I've never really had anyone call me their friend before.
Dipper, well, this is your first time now. Now your first time, buddy. This is your first time now, buddy. Winked in interest.
Dib's blush got a bit more noticeable when Dipper winked at him. Why was this making him feel so flustered all of a sudden? He doesn't know. That's a mystery for another time, Dib. Hey, yeah, I guess it is. I'm really happy to have you as a friend.
Dipper, same here. So, what do you want to talk about now? What do you want to do now?
Dib thought about that for a moment. Usually, he'd spend his time trying to prove his weird theories and conspiracies. But for once, he wanted to do something else. Dib, want to discuss the weird theories and stuff we believe in?
Dipper, sure. How about we can discuss horror movies or something?
Dib's eyes widen in excitement. Dib, horror movies? You like horror movies?
Dipper, you bet I do. It's my Halloween jam.
Dib chuckled. This was amazing. He actually has someone that he can talk to about the stuff he's interested in, Dib. Same here. Got any favorites?
Dipper, I don't know. There's so many, I can't choose a favorite.
Dib nodded in agreement. He didn't have just one favorite horror movie either. He also had a bunch he couldn't choose from. Dib, I get what you mean. It's like choosing which kid you like better. It's just cruel.
Dipper, I'm guessing I'm going with Scream. It's just funny, scary, classic. A classic. Especially the iconic Ghostface phone calls and suspenseful.
Dib thought for a moment. Scream? It was a good choice. Dib, Scream was great. Nothing like a crazy person in a Ghostface costume trying to kill a bunch of teenagers for a good horror movie.
Dipper, what about you? Got any favorites or classics?
Dib didn't even have to think about this. This was an easy question, Dib. Oh, easy. I have to go with Nightmare on Elm Street. The villain, Freddy Krueger, was perfect and the movie was gory in all the right ways.
Dipper chuckled interested. Oh, believe me, I can tell most of the puns and humor crack me up. From that guy, I swear, my favorite parts were the hallway scene and the first victim killed in the first nightmare scene. Freddy was just downright a crack-up psycho there.
Dib chuckled at Dipper's puns. He was enjoying this conversation, Dib. Yeah, the puns crack me up every time I rewatch it. I love the first kill scene as well. All that blood gushing from the bed. It was amazing!
Dipper, damn.
Dib couldn't help but laugh at Dipper's response. Dib, what's with the damn? It's true.
Dipper, just having fun, that's all.
Dib chuckled. He didn't mind. This whole conversation was honestly fun, Dib, I see. Oh, hey, speaking of favorite kills, want to know my top 3 most favorite kills from horror movies?
Dipper, I guess I thought you never asked.
Dib grinned. He was excited to talk about his favorite kills in movies, Dib. All right, here are my 3 favorite kills. Number 3, when that girl falls into that wood chipper in Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Dipper, wow, I remember that. It was crazy.
Dib nodded. He was still chuckling just by thinking about how her limbs just flew out of the wood chipper. Dib, yeah, it was. Number 2, my favorite kill from Orphan, that movie with that weird old lady that was actually a psychopathic adult. You remember that one?
Dipper, oh yeah, at first I thought she was a little kid. But now, after the information, damn plot twist, I never expected it coming.
Dib laughed. Yeah, the plot twist was very surprising, Dib, I know, right? Definitely my second favorite kill from that movie. My first favorite kill, though, Has to be from one of the Final Destination movies. You ever seen those?
Dipper, well, only the first one, but not the rest.
Dib nodded. The first one was a great pick for your first Final Destination movie. Yeah, the first movie is a good entry for getting into the series, but I personally like the fourth movie the most. The fourth movie has my most favorite kill ever!
Dipper, I can tell.
Dib chuckled. He was really excited to talk about this specific kill, Dib. The kill was actually pretty simple, but I loved it. Want to know what it is?
Dipper nodded intrigued.
Dib smiled before his eyes became more excited talking about this favorite kill, Dib. The killer in the fourth movie kills someone with a falling piece of the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty. Falling onto someone. That's just insane! What's not to love about that kill?
Dipper, that's like, I don't even see it coming, like, damn.
Dib nodded. The victim was just minding their own business when suddenly, crash! Statue of Liberty falling on top of you. Dib, yeah, now it's your turn. Tell me your favorite kill.
Dipper, well, where do I even start? How about when in the movie Scream 1 of the scene, one of the scenes, Stu's girlfriend thought her boyfriend was dressed up in a Ghostface costume to scare Sydney with and acting playing along with it at first, but once it goes serious, now it was actually the real Ghostface trying to kill her, and she throws beer at him in defense, like wow, damn. Even if she tried to get out of the garage place, since there was a doggy door, but she couldn't fit out. So the part when she got electrocuted by Ghostface was major surprise, heart attack. I almost flipped the popcorn to the floor while watching.
Dib found this entire story and kill so entertaining just from listening to Dipper explain it. It sounded absolutely awesome, Dib. What? A guy in a Ghostface costume pretending to be his girlfriend's boyfriend is already insane. But to have her throw up beer at him thinking it's a joke and then suddenly getting killed for it. That sounds so good. You actually thought you'd spill your popcorn from that?
Yep, she had to throw beer at him in defense to defend herself, 'cause she was actually getting killed, like damn. The whole scene was so iconic, especially the part she tried to plays out as a helpless victim to a psycho killer begging not to be killed and want to be part in the sequel. Like, I cracked up at that.
Dib chuckled. This kill sounded incredibly well done. It sounded almost unreal how insane this whole thing went. Dib, are you serious? Begging to not be killed and just wanting to be in a sequel? That's ridiculous. And then she immediately killed for it.
Dipper.
Dib was smiling more than he ever had in a while. This whole conversation was fun and entertaining. Dib man, who knew having a conversation about horror movies and kills would be this entertaining?
Dipper. Yeah, I can tell. We're getting along great.
Dib nodded. That was true. This was honestly the most social he's been with someone in a while. Dib was actually really enjoying himself, Dib. I know. I'm amazed how much we're bonding over our love for horror stuff.
Dipper, well, the bus is coming to a stop. Should we get off?
Dib was surprised. It had honestly felt like the bus ride had gone by in a flash. He felt relaxed and enjoyed talking with Dipper Dib. Already? Damn. This bus ride felt like it went by quickly. Well, I guess we should get off then.
Dipper nodded as he slowly got off the seat and holding Dib's hand while walking out.
Dib was surprised from the action of Dipper holding his hand. He didn't expect it, but he didn't object to it either. It actually felt nice to have someone hold his hand for once. Dib blushed a bit and held hands with Dipper as they got off the bus.
Dipper, wow, this school looks a bit rusty from the rumors I've heard about. heard about it, especially the students here.
Dib let out a slight scoff from the comment. What rumors Dipper heard weren't wrong, unfortunately, Dib. Yeah. It does look pretty terrible. And most of the students are just as terrible as the school. That's just from my experience from going to this school for years.
Dipper chuckling slightly from that in curiosity. It was his first day in this town, after all, so he had to make a good first impression as he went inside the school.
Dib chuckled a bit as well from Dipper's reaction to hearing how terrible the school is. Dib walked into the school along with him. Everyone can immediately tell he was new from his look and uniform. All the kids around him were already gossiping and whispering.
Dipper spotted a familiar green figure up ahead. It looks a bit out of pink outfit and the weird black haircut. It started to make him curious. I'm guessing he was new here as well.
Dib saw Dipper looking at an unfamiliar sight ahead. Once he saw what Dipper was looking at, he immediately knew exactly who this person was. Dib, you seeing that girl over there? With the green hair and pink outfit?
Dipper, no. It looks different. The formal pink outfit isn't normal. The dark pink one and the black haircut, the green skin. Dipper, it looks like a boy to me. Zim perked up, hearing a new voice. He scoffed a bit as he looked to see Dib, his enemy, with a new guy. Fascinating. A new human here. Dipper, why is he looking at me like that? Glanced at Zim and already started to feel worried but curious, as he was given the creeps by Zim's human appearance, knowing very clear that he's not actually human.
Dib saw Zim staring at them, more specifically at Dipper. The way Zim was looking at Dipper definitely wasn't friendly. Dib's eyes widened a bit, suddenly becoming worried and on edge. He was starting to get worried about how Zim might react to Dipper, and what Zim might try to do.
What he might try to do. Zim, greetings, new string-bean human worm. You are new here, aren't you? Eyeing Dipper spectacly, suspicious, curiously. Dipper felt a little nervous, given the creeps, but tried to keep a confident composure. Yes, I am, and I'm guessing you're not interested with Dib being around, right? Right? Zim, that dip stink worm. Laughing, he laughed a bit, arrogant, intrigued, and impressed that Dipper brought up his attentions of rivalry with Dib, finding this unnecessary but interested. Dipper gulped, a little feeling concerned, and regretted asking that last part, but tried to keep a straight face of nonchalance and curiosity.
Dib just stood there listening to this conversation, watching Zim intensely to see what he'd do. He was honestly surprised and impressed that Dipper was actually keeping his composure in front of Zim, while also bringing up his rivalry with him in the process. It made him feel a bit more hopeful that Dipper wouldn't let Zim get to him, but he was still worried about how Zim might try and approach this.
Zim, you're even smarter than I expected from you, new worm baby. Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Zim. I'm perfectly normal as everyone else here. And if you got a problem with it, then you will face my full potential wrath. Dipper flinched a bit surprised. He can see clearly behind the fake eyes and hair that Zim's not human, but something out of space. He sighed, a bit concerned, curiously, disbelief. Right. I'm Dipper Pines. It's nice to meet you, Zim, I guess.
Dib was actually shocked to hear Zim try to introduce himself to Dipper as normal. It was honestly pretty funny to see Zim actually try to portray himself as just another normal student, but at the same time, it was also a little bit scary. Dib had to resist the urge to scoff at Zim's attempt to be normal, knowing very well that Zim's not human, but he stayed quiet for now. Zim, ah yes, Dipper Pines. Quite an interestingly unusual name human.
Dipper. Okay. So, where are you from anyway? Zim flinched a bit, realizing the question and observing Dipper's reaction. He knows he was actually from the planet Urk. And land on Earth, but he didn't want Dipper to know that. He sighed a bit. Zim flinched a bit, realizing the question, and observing Dipper's reaction. He knows he was actually from the planet Urk and landed on Earth, but he didn't want Dipper to know that. He sighed a bit, intrigued but annoyed. Well, I'm obviously around the neighborhood, like these worms around here. And what about you? What about you, string being? Human? Where are you from? Where are you from anyway? Dipper sighed a bit, knowing something was up. Knowing something was clearly up. By the look of Zim's reaction, but brush it off a bit for now. Well, I'm obviously from Gravity Falls, where anything strange and chaotic and interesting can happen.
Dib continued listening to the exchange between Dipper and Zim. He was secretly nervous on what Zim would say, but he kept his composure. Once Zim answered the question, Dib let out a slight scoff at how obviously ridiculous Zim's reply was. Dib then saw Dipper respond back, revealing what town he's from. Dib's eyes widened when hearing the name. Zim, Gravity Falls, What an interesting name. Sounds like a ridiculous town full of ridiculous humans.
Dipper, trust me, I've seen stranger things than this town has. Zim, well then, speaking of strange, why is Dib stink with you specifically? Why is Dib stink with you personally? Persisly. Dipper, oh, Dib? Looks at Zim before looking back at Dib in concern. Well, he's my friend, and so far, we have much in common for some average fun things. Why ask anyway? You guys are more than friends or something?
Dib had been silently and discreetly listening to their conversation this whole time. Once he heard the question, he couldn't help but give a slight scoff that went unnoticed by both Dipper and Zim. Ha! Me? Friends with that pathetic worm? Ah, in your dreams, new worm. We are anything but friendly with each other.
But anything with each other? Dipper, is this true, Dib?
Dib nodded to Dipper's question. Dib, yeah. Zim and I have been enemies since I discovered he was an alien. I've been trying to expose him as an alien, and Zim has been trying to stop me from exposing him. And on top of that, he's constantly going out of his way to make my life a nightmare in the process.
Dipper, oh holy crap, flinched by surprise by all of this in disbelief, but feeling concerned and worried about it, still curious about everything.
chuckled lightly, slightly amused by Dipper's reaction. He had expected that. It's honestly a pretty shocking thing to hear about Dib. Yeah, it's kinda ridiculous. But honestly, it's not really that surprising when you consider who it's between, considering Zim is an alien hellbent on trying to take over Earth.
Zim. Lies! This fool lies to you! This fool lies to you! Dipper chuckled slightly by all of this, still concerned in disbelief, but curious by it.
Dib scoffed at Zim's response, rolling his eyes. Dib. Oh, you're not fooling anyone, Zim! He sees right through your fake act. Dib looked at Dipper, a bit worried, and knowing that Zim would try to pull something in an attempt to fool and manipulate him.
Dipper, okay. I can tell this is very much crazy. Zim, is this true? You're an alien. Is it true you're an alien? Zim. Pfft, please. You're seriously being friends with an actual crazy paranormal worm like Dib Stink here? You're out of your mind to regret. Dipper.
Dib silently scoffed by Zim's response. Unsurprisingly, Zim was trying to play it off and act like Dib was the crazy one here. Which honestly was just typical for Zim. Typical Zim. I tell you the truth. Trying to expose him as the alien he is, and suddenly I'm the insane one here to him.
Dipper feeling guilt, but it still find this rivalry funny. He still find the rivalry funny and interesting to him. He couldn't help but chuckle a bit. Zim, what's so funny, string being worm? Why are you laughing? Dipper chuckled slightly before he stops, a bit nervous, concerned, looking away a little. I don't know. Nothing.
Dib chuckled along a bit with Dipper, enjoying watching Zim get flustered. Just seeing how uncomfortable and outraged Zim was by having someone laugh at him was honestly kinda entertaining. Despite that, Dib still felt a bit concerned for Dipper's safety. Zim, yeah, why are you laughing? Are you making fun of me, new worm? You dare make fun of me?
Dipper, I'm not making fun of anyone, I swear. It's just the rivalry that you guys have is interesting to me. That's all.
Dib nodded. It really was an interesting rivalry. Dib had spent years of his life fighting Zim and trying to expose him as an alien. Zim, on the other hand, hated that he was having a hard time keeping his alien identity a secret, and he always found it annoying that he wasn't able to get rid of Dib Zim. Ugh, you think it's interesting? That's pathetic! Our rivalry is the most ridiculous, most pathetic thing that has ever happened to me in my entire existence.
Dipper, okay, calm down. I'm just saying it's fun in an interesting and a good way. That's all. I don't know when you and Dib will ever patch up one day.
Zim was shocked. The very idea of ever patching it up with Dib was absolutely ridiculous to Zim. What? Patch it up with that worm? Never in a million years will that ever happen.
Dib, you agree about that?
He chuckled lightly from Dipper's question. Dib, oh, absolutely. Zim and I will never, ever make peace.
Dipper chuckled. Well, I might wonder what's it going to take for you guys to put your differences to aside once and for all.
Dib chuckled along with Dipper, amused by the question. Dib, well, as much as I would honestly love for Zim and I to be buddies someday, it's honestly never gonna be a thing. We've been at each other's throats for years, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Trust me, I've tried to find common ground with Zim. But it seems like the only thing we have in common is how much we hate each other.
Zim, how come the only thing we have in common is that we actually agree? We usually agree that we never get along great. and we were never friends. We never be friends, or that we despise each other. That makes no sense. Dipper chuckling, slightly starting to enjoy this incuriously.
Dib was chuckling again, finding humor in this whole conversation they were having. Dib. Oh my gosh, yeah! You're right, Zim, it totally doesn't make any sense. Even though we hate each other's guts and would rather die than be friends, the only thing we can agree on is how much we hate each other.
Dipper, but hey, at least that's a start. Zim, I have no idea what you're talking about, Pines. Just shut up. Just shut up and stay out of this. Dipper.
Dib chuckled a bit, watching Zim get all flustered and annoyed again. It was pretty funny to see Zim get so riled up over this conversation they were having. Dib, haha, don't get so mad, Zim, you know it's true. You and I can agree on one thing, at least, no matter how ridiculous it is.
Zim, shut up. Just shut up. Well, it's not like we're going to be close friends after this. Dipper, easy there. Let's not be too hot-headed.
Dib laughed again from Zim's statement and Dipper's response. Dib couldn't believe this conversation he was having. It was honestly kind of hard to believe that he and Zim sort of were agreeing on something. However, he couldn't help but wonder if Zim was lying through his teeth or not when he said that they would never be close friends.
Zim paused. He paused a bit, surprised by Dipper's statement of being hot-headed, which made him flinch in arrogant trickery, even more in disbelief, embarrassment. Excuse you, string beast. Who do you think you're calling hot-headed? I'm not that hot-headed. Dipper chuckling, slightly nervous. I know, just don't want this conversation to get heated up. That's all. I'm not trying to insult anyone. No need to overreact.
Dib chuckled along with Dipper while watching Zim's reaction. He had to admit, seeing Zim get all flustered like this because Dipper called him hot-headed was honestly kind of funny. But at the same time, he could tell that Zim was close to going ballistic at any moment, and that didn't bode well for anyone involved. Hey, calm down, Zim. He's just saying he doesn't want this getting hostile. No need to get offended over nothing.
Zim, I'm not overreacting. Began to glare at Dipper. Listen here, little human. Try to mess with the almighty Zim, and you will regret it. Got it? You will face doom of my wrath if you keep this up. If you dare keep this up. Dipper flinched a bit in silence, slowly backing away from Zim, a bit by surprise, nervously concerned, but nodding slowly.
Dib rolled his eyes at Zim's threat. He chuckled slightly amused by Zim's attempt to be menacing. However, he could tell that Zim was getting pretty close to actually losing it. Dib, yeah, whatever, Zim. We've all heard that countless of times before. You need to come up with new threats at this point. It's getting old.
Zim, silence, Dib thing. This is between me and the string beast earthworm. The string beast earthworm here. This is between Zim and the string bean earthworm here. If he tries to ever insult me, I'll make him wish he never come across me, ever, and make sure he ever regrets coming near me from his existence. Dipper slowly backing away even more, nodding that he won't do anything to piss off Zim. He kept nodding, trying to promise himself that, in nervous disbelief, concerned about this, feeling his face sweat more.
Dib continued watching the exchange between Zim and Dipper, feeling a mixture of amusement and concern. He found it amusing to see Zim getting so worked up over this, but at the same time, he was worried that Zim would actually start causing some serious trouble. Dib, oh God, Zim, relax. I'm sure Dipper won't do anything to insult you. He's just speaking his mind, it's not a big deal.
Dipper, look, I'm trying my best to be careful with what I say, but it's the truth. Zim sighed a bit as the bell started ringing. He looks away for a moment, still trying to calm down in annoyance. Very well then, fine. But I'm watching him. Immediately turning to Dipper, giving Dipper one last final threatening glare of keeping an eye on Dipper before he heads off to class. Dipper gulped a bit by surprise, a little bit panicked, but calming down slightly, knowing that he has to remind himself to be careful with what he said around Zim.
Dib watched as Zim let out a sigh, still looking annoyed and angry, before turning and heading off to class. He felt a bit relieved that Zim was going away, for now at least, and turning to Dipper, he saw the panicked look on his face. Dib, whoa, you okay? He didn't scare you too badly, did he?
Dipper, huh? No, not at all, actually. I mostly get used to that happening, especially when I'm having a hard time to be more careful about what I say around people like Zim, though. Like Zim.
Dib chuckled slightly amused by Dipper's response. He could tell that Dipper was trying to put on a fearless facade, even though he could tell that Zim's threat had genuinely scared him. Dib, really? You sure? You're not just saying that just to save face? I can tell if you're lying, you know.
Dipper sighs a bit. I just don't want to feel like a wimp out there. I mean, Zim, the alien behind his human disguise, he's something that I don't want to mess with. And even if I do, I concerned.
Dib could hear the concern in Dipper's voice. He knew that he could understand how difficult it could be sometimes, Dib. You know, it's okay to be concerned and even scared. Zim can be very intimidating, I'll give him that. But you don't have to pretend like you're fearless all the time.
Dipper, I know, but what if Zim's threats get in my head and get the better of me? What if it will humiliate me in front of everyone at school? What if...
Dib interrupted Dipper's spiral of concerns, trying to calm him down a bit. Dib, hey, calm down. You're overthinking this way too much. Dib put a hand on Dipper's shoulder, trying to reassure him. Dib, look, Zim's threats are all empty. He loves to make threatening, but they're all just empty threats. He's not going to actually do anything to you.
Dipper, okay, I guess, you're right. But how are you able to manage to handle him anyway?
Dib chuckled, thinking about all the times he dealt with Zim. Dib, oh, trust me, it's not easy. I've spent years dealing with Zim and his threats, but honestly, you just have to learn to not take any of his threats seriously. He makes a lot of threats, but he doesn't actually follow through with most of them. And besides, with Zim, it's usually just a lot of bark and very little bite.
Dipper laughs at that by surprise. Well, if that's true, then I guess you're right. I'll try not to pay too much focus of that. Thanks, dude.
Dib chuckled along with Dipper, glad to see that he was starting to feel better. Dib, no problem, man. Trust me, you'll get used to Zim's threats after a while. Just don't take them too seriously, alright?
Dipper nodded understandingly.
Dib smiled, seeing that Dipper was starting to understand Dib. Glad to hear it. Just remember, don't let Zim get to you. He's just trying to scare you into submission. But you don't have to let him win.
Dipper, psst, Yeah, he's just a alien who's blending in as a human in disguise around other humans. He's not going to be that much of a threat. Plus, betting that he ain't gonna do crap. He's not gonna do any crap.
Dib chuckled from Dipper's response. Dib, exactly! That's the spirit. Zim may try to act threatening and menacing, but at the end of the day, he's just an alien pretending to be human. He's just a wannabe supervillain, really.
Dipper burst out laughing uncontrollably, finding it funny.
Dib laughed along with Dipper, also finding it funny how easily Zim could be compared to a wannabe supervillain. Dib. Haha, I know, right? Zim tries so hard to be evil and menacing, but he just ends up looking like a wannabe supervillain. It's honestly kind of funny, in a pathetic sort of way.
Dipper, well, we should probably get going since the bell already rang.
Dib nodded in agreement. Dib. Yeah, you're right. We don't want to be late for class. Dib started walking towards the school, motioning for Dipper to follow him.
Dipper followed behind in a hurry.
Dib and Dipper walked together towards their class, with Dib keeping up a steady pace so that Dipper could easily follow Dib. So, what class do you have first?
Dipper, I don't know. I'm probably in the same classroom as you, perhaps?
Dib chuckled a bit, realizing that Dipper was probably right. Dib, you're probably right. We're in a lot of the same classes, so you're likely in my next class as well.
Dipper went inside the classroom as Miss Bitters still talking to everyone, while flinching a bit as he noticed Zim there nearby, giving a sting eye. He gulped while trying to be brave and sit down.
Dib followed Dipper into the classroom and immediately noticed Zim sitting nearby, giving Dipper a mean glare. Dib couldn't help but roll his eye a bit from Zim's behavior. He took a seat next to Dipper, trying to give him a reassuring look as if to say, "Don't worry, you'll be fine."
Dipper looks down at his desk while looking at the paper, listening to the teacher, and writing.
As the class continued, Dib noticed that Dipper was trying to keep his head down, trying to avoid any sort of attention from Zim. Dib himself was listening to Miss Bitter's usually emotionless and uninterested speech, taking notes occasionally as the lesson went on. However, his gaze would occasionally wander to Zim, noticing that Zim was still looking at Dipper, giving him occasionally hostile glances.